Lord have mercy. What's up, everybody? What's going on? Oh man, tonight is the night that I'm feeling all right. Shout out to everybody that's here. Hey, Miss Lady T. Hey, Tyree. Baltimore, brace yourself. Brace yourself. Shout out to everybody that's here watching. It's really about to get crazy in here. Hey, Nick. I'm about to send some emails. I'm about to send some links out. But it's really going to get crazy in here today. Really about to get crazy. I'm not having it. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on. I don't like what I see. I don't like what I hear. I don't like none of it. And it's not cool when you have to abide by the master. Hell with the master. The only master is the creator above, which is God himself. And if you don't believe in something, you better learn how to believe in whatever it is now. I'm not telling you who to believe in, but I'm telling you to believe in something, someone, somewhere. Believe in something, someone, somewhere. This is about to be a realistic life for a lot of people. Some people live in these kind of states. So I don't know what more to tell people, but brace yourself. Get into your books, know your laws, because it's going to come a time where if you don't know them, you're going to be in a concentration camp or you're going to be dead somewhere. Shout out to Memphis. I don't know what's going on with the young doll situation. I can't say them brothers did or didn't do it, but what I can say is that it's crazy. Now everybody want to point a finger. Why wasn't y'all pointing the finger when it happened? Why y'all leading people astray? I'm just saying. But tonight we're going to talk about the two most, excuse me, we're going to talk about the two most crookedest, and you heard what I said, crookedest. I'm making words up. We're going to talk about two of the most crookedest police departments ever in the United States. Some people might say, oh, well, Chicago. Nope. Nowhere near Chicago. These police departments make Chicago police departments look innocent. So brace yourself. That's all I can say. Brace yourself. Shout out to everybody on Facebook that's watching with me. Hey, Trinice. Hey, good. My sis watching with me. I appreciate the live. I appreciate everything that's going on. But I got 44 people in here. Go get your snacks. It's a Friday night. Y'all don't got nothing to do. Get your snacks, get your drinks, get your chicken, get whatever you're going to get. Because this is going to be a live that's going to take you into, what time is it? It's 8:57. This live is going to take you well until midnight. All right. Shout out to everybody that's here. I will say this. Nisi69. We're going to continue to pray for our own. Big Baby Pernell, we're going to continue to pray for our own and everybody that has lost somebody within this new year and last year. We want to keep them uplifted in prayer. Everybody that's sick, and we want to keep them uplifted in prayer. Now we going here. What's up, Atmos? We going here tonight. I want y'all to know we going here tonight. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm not going to talk about a person who's been trying to dog me in the social media. I'll talk about her tomorrow. I'll talk about her tomorrow. And I mean, I'm going to talk about her tomorrow and why you shouldn't listen to idiots. But today I want to talk about something that's happening right now as we speak. Is happening in my city. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I never liked it. And I see what all is going on. And now it's time for somebody to speak up about it. So if you want to contribute to this page, you look down at the bottom, you're going to see a box. They have a $sign in it. That's called the super chat. If you want to contribute to me and you look across the scroll ticker, nice and bright and yellow, you're going to see a Cash App. That's a $sign official DanaJay. If you don't have Cash App and you don't, know what to do as far as the super chat, you can hit me on ZELLE, which is at the bottom of the screen. It will be to your bottom left. And it just popped up. It's ZELLE bookdanajay@gmail.com. All right, let's get started. If you're looking for a nice treat that's not ice cream, that's not sherbet, go to your local Walmart and go to the ice cream section and look for JD's Vegan. They have multiple flavors. Also, remember, JD's Vegan, the one you see up there, it's a strawberry sweetheart. JD's Vegan is nothing but a dairy-free frozen dessert. It's a dairy-free frozen dessert. All right, let's go.
I stayed into something. So now I'm closer to God. But being closer is hard. The attacks get stronger, become much harder to fight, and they last longer. That's what it's always been. Joy, pain, dark with the light, sun with the rain. With the right perspective, it can be something to gain.
Unknown numbers just text me, said they gon' kill me. That's why they just play with her. They know that 40 is stay with her. I'm smoking on that, don't play with her. If we ball a bitch, I fuck around and break the run. I should get trapped, but yeah, I be trapped. Put a pound on your head, little nigga. She think I'm a little nigga when she throw it, I'm catching. I'm breaking her back, yeah. It's messed up, I ass when I head, yeah. Rocky got me turned up under, yeah. Now I got this bitch like in the air. Got a fetish for getting this bread. Run it up, drop my nuts like a lead, babe. Trap with a couple chasing it. When you shining, you can't rush the process, man. I swear to God, a couple mess up an ass for the head. Yeah, Rocky got me turned up on the yeah. Now I got this bitch like in the air. Got a fetish for getting this bread. Run it up, drop my nuts like a lead, babe. But I got this shit out the mud, bitch. That money feel good when a couple chasing it. When you shining, you can't rush the process, man. I swear to God, a couple perfect timing. In the projects, 50 can jewelry, yeah, I'm switching up the climb. Sleep on the couch, now I'm so lounging. If I got blow me a nigga, I know they gon' try make me look like a monster. Off of Baltimore, better keep you a stick when I'm ride with no armor. I lost noodles and nuggets, some niggas.
But I know that there's more. More for you, more for us.
DJ discretion.
Flow still sick, I ain't talking that pandemic.
DJ discretion.
Flow still sick, I ain't talking that pandemic.
DJ discretion.
Flow still sick, I ain't talking that pandemic.
Say you love it, what you gonna do now? Hope you're ready, guess I'm really about to put it down. Girl, you know that I will never disrespect you. We have tomorrow, but tonight I wanna spend you. That ass, girl, gotta make it last, yeah. Start off so, then I'ma beat it up.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on? 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 How y'all doing? Y'all see what's going on, man. Shout out to everybody that's here. I gotta drop a bone back here behind me. Bang, go a little something like that. Go a little something like that. Go a little something like that. But I don't want this backdrop. You know what I'm saying? I'm going back. That's the backdrop I want. That's the backdrop I want. All right, let's get that ZELLE up here. So we talking about some things that's going on. And a lot of people like, oh, Dana, you ain't covering Natasha K, Cardi B story. I said, nope. They said, why? I told them, I said, it's bullcrap. I'm looking and keep my ear close because what's going to come out of this situation, it ain't going to be good for no blogger. And it's going to be everything I've said 2 years ago. I was told I was crazy. I was told, oh, Dana, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, Cardi B is doing it now. And from what I'm hearing from some of my homies that's down there that are officers and not bloggers, they saying Tasha K look terrible instead. But I'd rather cover something very, very, very much more interesting that have ties into the R. Kelly case. I want to cover the police corruption in Baltimore. I want to cover the upper level corruption in Baltimore. I want to cover the police corruption in White Plains, New York. Oh, and then I'm going to show you a movie of what happened. So you're going to get clips of Baltimore. You're going to get stories of Baltimore. You're going to get a story of White Plains, and you're going to get a movie of White Plains. And by the end of this, if this don't move you, you ain't human. If this don't move you to act, When you see corruption, you ain't human, and you for the dumbest. Now let's get to Baltimore. Our last mayor, Catherine Pugh, is in federal jail because some of the old workers of hers reported her to the feds. Get it? The governor at the time, which was Larry Hogan, and he's still there, didn't do nothing about it, didn't say nothing about it, didn't care. So now I'm hearing people say, well, Marilyn Mosby, she's the prosecuting attorney and she's crooked. I will not be called a friend if I sit here and let people bring a false narrative out about somebody I've known for over 15 years. I know her husband and I know her. And I know she's straight by the book. So I'm about to destroy some stuff, and I might become America's Most Wanted after the night. Because the police is not the problem. You can easily go through and braze through and get the bad cops out. But if you destroy the FOP, the governor don't have a leg to stand on. The police department won't have nothing else to do but do the right thing. Everybody's wondering, what is the FOP? It's the Fraternal Order of Police. So Marilyn Mosby, if she had did what all the other state's attorney, the prosecuting state's attorneys done in Maryland and Baltimore, it wouldn't have been an issue. But because she defied all the odds, and I'm going to go here today, it's going to be raw. When she defied the odds and took the side, even though I know it's wrong lingo and wrong language, I'm going to say it anyway. When she defied the odds and took the side of a colored boy against white supremacists and white constituents, she became the enemy. I told her after that, I said, prepare yourself for hell. She looked and said, I'm already in it. So what makes Marilyn Mosby so special? Because, you know, that's all you see. She's been indicted by the feds. She's been this, she's been that. Okay. She's been indicted by the feds. And y'all hear the stuff that she's saying, but that they saying about her, right? And you're only hearing it from the constituents of the supremacists of the higher beings. So why is she being looked at or indicted by the feds? Somebody said, oh no, she tried to buy some property. Oh, she tried to steal money. She tried to do that. She's never had that type of track record. Catherine Pugh have. The mayor before that, Rawlins Blake, still owe the state of Maryland over $40 million. Catherine Pugh owe the state of Maryland over $190 million. Owe the school system over $600 grand. Catherine Pugh was doing business with what is that lawyer out of New York that always trying to make men look bad? What is that lawyer name? The one that said, that goes that lawsuit. What is that lawyer name? Shoot. Wait a minute. What is that? Hey, Lowdown, how y'all doing? I'm sorry if I ain't speak to everybody came in late. Gloria Allred. Her and Gloria Allred was milking the Baltimore City school system. And in return, she gave 2 of her employers, which I know one of them very well, and had them come out and say, oh, R. Kelly touched us, to take the heat off of Catherine Pugh. That was Gloria Allred's decision. Gloria Allred was in Baltimore at Catherine Pugh office 3 times a week. For what? Y'all don't have nothing in common. What are y'all talking about? That's why no charges was ever brought up in Baltimore. Because when you got people like me, that's from Baltimore, that see the BS, we ain't letting it go. So we quickly went to people that we had to go to. Myself and about 12 others. But I see Lowdown said she's a Black woman in a high political position. I agree with that a little bit. But she defied the odds. It was a colored man. Yes, he was a drug dealer. But that didn't constitute him to die. We have this thing in Baltimore called the 5th stop. Anybody that ever been locked up, whether you're on Facebook, whether on YouTube, if you ever been locked up and put in that paddy wagon, you have went past that 5th stop. And it's not a good feeling. You got beat up. So when A plus B didn't equal C, she did her homework. Now, one of my mods, who you don't see because she's recovering from being sick right now, me and her got into a 3-hour heated argument over this. This before she took ill. Because somebody that she was married to was part of that indictment. And I said he shouldn't have been part of it, but he wasn't allowed to do his job because the constituents said, if you do, there's a possibility we'll kill you. Because if you tell the truth, everybody go down. And the FOP steps in to cover, as y'all gonna see tonight. And by the time my live is done tonight, y'all gonna be like, man, this is crazy. You're gonna see. I'm tired of corruption. So what made Marilyn Mosby so popular? I'm about to show you. She did something that nobody else had the kahunas to do, and it was right here.
Good morning. First and foremost, I need to express publicly my deepest sympathies for the family of the loved ones of Mr. Freddie Gray. I had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Gray's family to discuss some of the details of the case and the procedural steps going forward. I assured his family that no one is above the law and that I would pursue justice on their behalf. To the thousands of city residents, community organizers, faith leaders, and political leaders that chose to march peacefully throughout Baltimore, I commend your courage to stand for justice. I also commend the brave men and women, both in uniform and out, who have stepped up Monday night to protect our communities from those who wish to destroy it. As the city's chief prosecutor, I've been sworn to uphold justice and to treat every individual within the jurisdiction of Baltimore City equally and fairly under the law. I take this oath seriously, and I want the public to know that my administration is committed to creating a fair and equitable justice system for all, no matter what your occupation, your age, your race, your color, or your creed. It is my job to examine and investigate the evidence of each case and apply those facts to the elements of a crime in order to make a determination as to whether individuals should be prosecuted. This is a tremendous responsibility, but one that I sought and accepted when the citizens of Baltimore City elected me as a state's attorney. And it's precisely what I did in the case of Freddie Gray. Once alerted about this incident, on April 13th, investigators from my police integrity unit were deployed to investigate the circumstances surrounding Mr. Gray's apprehension. Over the course of our independent investigation in the untimely death of Mr. Gray, my team worked around the clock, 12 and 14-hour days, to canvass and interview dozens of witnesses, view numerous hours of video footage, repeatedly reviewed and listened to hours of police videotape statements, surveyed the route, reviewed voluminous medical records, and we leveraged the information made available to us by the police department, the community, and the family of Mr. Gray. The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges. The statement of probable cause is as follows. On April 12, 2015, between 8:45 and 9:15 a.m., near the corner of North Avenue and Mount Street, Lieutenant Brian Rice of the Baltimore Police Department, while on bike patrol with officers Garrett Miller and Edward Nero, made eye contact with Mr. Freddie Carlos Gray, Jr. Having made eye contact with Mr. Gray subsequently ran from Lieutenant Rice. Lieutenant Rice then dispatched over departmental radio that he was involved in a foot pursuit, at which time bike patrol officers Miller and Nero also began to pursue Mr. Gray. Having come in contact with the pursuing officers, Mr. Gray surrendered to officers Miller and Nero in the vicinity of the 1700 block of Pressbury Street. Officers Miller and Nero then handcuffed Mr. Gray and moved him to a location a few feet away from his surrendering location. Mr. Gray was then placed in a prone position with his arms handcuffed behind his back. It was at this time that Mr. Gray indicated that he could not breathe and requested an inhaler to no avail. Officers Miller and Nero then placed Mr. Gray in a seated position and subsequently found a knife clipped to the inside of his pants pocket. The blade of the knife was folded into the handle. The knife was not a switchblade and is lawful under Maryland law. These officers subsequently removed the knife and placed it on the sidewalk. Mr. Gray was then placed back down on his stomach, at which time Mr. Gray began to flail his legs and scream as Officer Miller placed Mr. Gray in a restraining technique known as a leg lace, while Officer Nero physically held him down against his will until a BPD wagon arrived to transport Mr. Gray. Lieutenant Rice, Officer Miller, and Officer Nero failed to establish probable cause for Mr. Gray's arrest, as no crime had been committed by Mr. Gray. Accordingly, Lieutenant Rice, Officer Miller, and Officer Nero illegally arrested Mr. Gray. Upon arrival of the transport wagon driven by Officer Caesar Goodson, Lieutenant Rice, Officer Nero, and Officer Miller loaded Mr. Gray into the wagon, and at no point was he secured by a seatbelt while in the wagon, contrary to a BPD general order. Lieutenant Rice then directed BPD wagon to stop at Baker Street. At Baker Street, Lieutenant Rice, Officer Nero, and Officer Miller removed Mr. Gray from the wagon, placed flex cuffs on his wrists, placed leg shackles on his ankles, and completed required paperwork. Officer Miller, Officer Nero, and Lieutenant Rice then loaded Mr. Gray back into the wagon, placing him on his stomach, head first onto the floor of the wagon. Once again, Mr. Gray was not secured by a seatbelt in the wagon, contrary to a BPD general order. Lieutenant Rice then directed Officer Goodson to transport Mr. Gray to the Central Booking and Intake Facility. Following transport from Baker Street, Mr. Gray suffered a severe and critical neck injury as a result of being handcuffed, shackled by his feet, and unrestrained inside of the BPD wagon. From Baker Street, Officer Goodson proceeded to the vicinity of Mosher Street and Fremont Avenue, where he subsequently parked the wagon and proceeded to the back of the wagon in order to observe Mr. Gray. Despite stopping for the purpose of checking on Mr. Gray's condition, at no point did he seek nor did he render any medical assistance for Mr. Gray. Officer Goodson returned to his driver's seat and proceeded toward the central booking and intake facility with Mr. Gray still unsecured by a seatbelt, contrary to a BPD general order. Several blocks later, Officer Goodson called into dispatch that he needed to check on the status of his prisoner and requested additional units at Dolphin Street and Drew Hill Avenue. Officer William Porter arrived on the scene near Dolphin Street and Druid Hill Avenue. Both Officer Goodson and Officer Porter proceeded to the back of the wagon to check on the status of Mr. Gray's condition. Mr. Gray at that time requested help and indicated that he could not breathe. Officer Porter asked Mr. Gray if he needed a medic, at which time Mr. Gray indicated at least twice that he was in need of a medic. Officer Porter then physically assisted Mr. Gray from the floor of the van to the bench. However, despite Mr. Gray's appeal for a medic, both officers assessed Mr. Gray's condition, and at no point did either of them restrain Mr. Gray per BPD general order, nor did they render or request medical assistance. While discussing the transportation of Mr. Gray for medical attention, a request for additional units was made for an arrest at the 1600 West North Avenue. Officer Porter left the vicinity of Dolphin Street and Druid Hill Avenue to assist in the arrest of another prisoner at North Avenue.
And subsequent, Freddie Gray died. This is a very touchy story because Pepper was my guy. Pepper was my guy. And to look up and see this, it's crazy. So just to speed up a little bit, I'm gonna give you a little insight. The FOP slid in. The governor, which was Larry Hogan, didn't back Marilyn Mosby. Neither did the mayor, and which is now whatever she's doing. And FOP slid in and made it seem like that Marilyn Mosby was not doing her job. In other words, what they were saying that the people didn't catch is that Marilyn Mosby took the side of a civilian and not the police. Now, me and Caesar Goodwin, we had a great situation. He used to come watch me hoop down Bentlow. He never imposed that type of thing. But that day he was driving and he wanted to tell his story, but FOP told him no. You better go with what we said. And I pray for Mr. Goodwin that he gets out on time and he gets out unscathed. So after the FOP came in and tried to attack Marilyn Mosby, this is what she said in a press conference, because the FOP have influenced the judge to not bring charges on the officers. So listen to this. Listen to this and you will hear the corruption.
Here today, Baltimore finds itself at the epicenter of a national conflict between urban and rural populations of color and the law enforcement agencies that are sworn to protect and serve them. It is a struggle that strikes at the basic ideas of self-determination, justice, equality, and sadly, humanity in America. However fitting it is for observers to use the untimely death of Freddie Carlos Gray Jr. as a barometer of our nation's progress on police brutality, my professional role in this matter is plain: to seek justice on behalf of an innocent 25-year-old man who was unreasonably taken into custody after fleeing in his neighborhood, which just happens to be a high-crime neighborhood, and had his spine partially severed in the back of a Baltimore police wagon. As the chief prosecutor for Baltimore City, I took an oath to uphold justice and to treat every individual within my jurisdiction equally and fairly under the law. I take my oath very seriously. Since the start of my administration, we have been and continue to be wholly committed to creating a fair and equitable justice system for all and holding people accountable for crimes that they commit regardless of age, race, color, sex, creed, socioeconomic status, or in this case, occupation. As a chief prosecutor elected by the people of Baltimore City, I made a promise that my prosecutors and I will never cower from our obligation to prosecute crimes where we believe that we have probable cause that a crime was committed. We're sworn to not only uphold the law and hold violent repeat offenders accountable, but we're also sworn to apply justice fairly and equally to everyone, even those that take an oath to protect and serve our communities. As prosecutors, we are servants of all victims and witnesses of crime in Baltimore City, and we fight each and every day to ensure that perpetrators of crime see their day in court and are held accountable for their actions or inactions where there's a relational duty that requires such. We never cowered in our battle for justice for 16-year-old Felicia Barnes, 1-year-old Carter Scott, bicyclist and loving father Thomas Palermo, or Shatia Lansdowne and the various other sexual assault survivors of Nelson Clefford. As I previously stated, the decision to prosecute 6 police officers was not and has never been an indictment on the entire Baltimore Police Department. Although some have tried to invalidate my family's long-standing service as public officers, I know firsthand the sacrifices, the dedication, the commitment it takes to protect and serve our communities. For those that believe that I'm anti-police, it's simply not the case. I'm anti-police brutality, and I need not remind you that the only loss and the greatest loss in all of this was that of Freddie Gray's life. For over a year, my office has been forced to remain silent on all 6 of the cases pertaining to and surrounding the death of Freddie Gray. Despite being physically and professionally threatened, mocked, ridiculed, harassed, and even sued, we've respected and fulfilled our obligation and dutiful silence in accordance with Judge Barry Williams' gag order, restricting any commentary from the state. In accordance with my oath to pursue justice over convictions, I've refused to allow the grandstanding of some and the hyperbole of others to diminish our resolve to seek justice on behalf of this young man. I was elected the prosecutor. I signed up for this, and I can take it. Because no matter how problematic and troublesome it has been for my office, my prosecutors, my family, and me personally, it pales in comparison to what mothers and fathers all across this country, specifically Freddie Gray's mother, Gloria Darden, or Richard Shipley, Freddie Gray's stepfather, goes through on a daily basis, knowing their son's mere decision to run from the police proved to be a lethal one. Please know that even though the media has made this about everything but the untimely death of your son, my office has never wavered in our commitment to seeking justice on his behalf. My team of prosecutors, led by 2 highly respected veteran attorneys, Chief Deputy Michael Schatzow, Deputy State's Attorney Janice Bledsoe, right here, and Assistant State's Attorney John Butler, Matt Pillion, Sarah Akhtar, Law Clerk Michael Fiorenza have devoted countless hours and made countless sacrifices to ensure accountability on your son's behalf. I'm extremely proud of my team who never lost sight of why we were fighting so hard, your son. As the world has witnessed over the past 14 months, the prosecution of on-duty police officers in this country is unsurprisingly rare and blatantly fraught with systemic and inherent complications.
Yes, it is.
Unlike with other cases where prosecutors work closely with the police to investigate what actually occurred, what we realized very early on in this case was that police investigating police, whether they're friends or merely their colleagues, was problematic.
That's right. That's right.
There was a reluctance and an obvious bias that was consistently exemplified not by the entire Baltimore Police Department, but by individuals within the Baltimore Police Department at every stage of the investigation, which became blatantly apparent in the subsequent trials. Although Commissioner Davis was and has been extremely accommodating, there were individual police officers that were witnesses to the case, yet were part of the investigative team. Interrogations that were conducted without asking the most poignant questions. Lead detectives that were completely uncooperative and started a counter-investigation to disprove the state's case by not executing search warrants pertaining to text messages among the police officers involved in the case, creating videos to disprove the state's case, without our knowledge, creating notes that were drafted after the case was launched to contradict the medical examiner's conclusion, turning these notes over to defense attorneys months prior to turning them over to the state, and yet doing it in the middle of trial. As you can see, whether investigating, interrogating, testifying, cooperating, or even complying with the state, we've all bore witness to an inherent bias that is a direct result of when police themselves. And despite the challenges of not having an independent investigatory agency to work with us throughout this prosecution, we still are grateful for the opportunity to show the world the reality of the justice system from start to finish. At every step of the way, due process was afforded all of these officers, and the legitimacy of our prosecution efforts were affirmed time and time again. They were affirmed when the court commissioner signed off on the charges that we filed. They were yet again affirmed when we presented our case before a grand jury and secured indictments against all 6 officers in every charge that we presented to them. Our legal arguments, theories, strategies were affirmed not only in 135 motions in which we successfully overcame, but also in the state's highest court, where we battled and ultimately prevailed in compelling the officers to testify against each other. The legitimacy of these charges were even affirmed by the judge after he rejected 13 motions for dismissal and denied 22 motions for judgment of acquittal throughout all 4 trials. As prosecutors, we are ministers of justice, and it is our ethical obligation to always seek justice over convictions. As prosecutors, we do not determine guilt or innocence of individuals, but rather present evidence to a judge or a jury to make that determination. In these cases, my prosecutors presented a great deal of evidence to support the charges alleged. And although we came close to convicting one of the officers when his case was tried before 12 Baltimore City residents, the judge, who is within his right, has made it clear that he doesn't agree with the state's theory of the case and does not believe that any of the actions or inactions of these officers rise to the level of criminality. The judge has acquitted 3 of these officers, one of the arresting officers, the wagon driver, the highest ranking police officer in these matters. In light of these consistent outcomes, the likelihood of the remaining defendant's decision to elect a bench trial with this very same judge is highly probable, and unfortunately, so is the outcome. And while to this day we stand by the decisions, the legal theories, the charges and assertions set forth in the statement of probable cause and during these proceedings, as officers of the court, we must respect the verdicts rendered by the judge regarding the ultimate culpability of the adjudicated officers involving Freddie Gray's death as final, no matter how much we may disagree with his rulings. We do not believe that Freddie Gray killed himself. We stand by the medical examiner's determination that Freddie Gray's death was a homicide. However, after much thought and prayer, it has become clear to me that without being able to work with an independent investigatory agency from the very start, without having a say in the election of whether our cases proceed in front of a judge or a jury, without communal oversight of policing in this community, without real substantive reforms to the current criminal justice system, we could try this case 100 times and cases just like it, and we would still end up with the same result. Accordingly, I have decided not to proceed on the cases against Officer Garrett, Sergeant Alicia White, or to relitigate the case against William Porter. As a mother, the decision not to proceed on these trials, on the remaining trials, is agonizing. However, as a chief prosecutor elected by the citizens of Baltimore, I must consider the dismal likelihood of conviction at this point, the judicial economy in proceeding further, and the divisive impact that continuing this prosecution could potentially have on our community. What I've ultimately learned throughout this arduous process is that although no small task, justice is always worth the price paid for its pursuit.
And with that being said, that's when the smear campaign of Marilyn Mosby began. They called for her to be taken off of the prosecuting board. She stood up for the people who are in jail for small petty crimes, and she stood up for them and said that they shouldn't be in jail, all behind police writing up false reports. It even got so bad where the Department of Justice, that's the White House, their team, they came in and said, Baltimore is the most corrupt police force throughout the United States. If you don't believe me, go look up a movie on HBO Max called it's the Sean Suter story, but it's called hold on, let me get it correct. The shoot, what is it called? Jesus Christ. The small, hold on. I'll tell you right now, hold on. Baltimore office. Hold on. I'll tell you right now what it is. It's called, here it is. HBO documentary. It's called The Slow Hustle. It's called The Slow Hustle. So look up on HBO Max and look at The Slow Hustle. It talks about how the police department set their own up and they kill them just so they can stay afloat. So what happened recently was they've been trying to get Marilyn Mosby out the way. They threatened her family. They threatened her. They did this, they did that. And the governor comes out with this statement so that way he didn't have to administer aid to the city of Baltimore. Check this out.
Go live to Annapolis.
Robbed and struck in the head with a gun right outside his church in Little Italy. The next afternoon, an armed suspect went on a shooting spree in East Baltimore. He shot 3 people, 2 of them fatally, at 3 separate locations, including a local barbershop. A week ago today, Evelyn Player, a 69-year-old retiree and grandmother, arrived after sunrise at Southern Baptist Church, where she was a longtime member and volunteer. She was found later that morning, stabbed to death in the church bathroom. Last week, Baltimore surpassed the staggering milestone of 300 murders for the 7th straight year. The 300th victim was a 5-year-old girl whose body showed signs of previous abuse. And on Thursday night, a 13-year-old girl was gunned down near a recreation center in West Baltimore. These aren't just stories and statistics.
To look in the eyes of someone who's struggling to catch their breath.
Lives tragically snuffed out, and families that will never be the same. It's heartbreaking, and it's completely unacceptable. The people of Baltimore are hurting. They're scared, and they're searching for answers. They want to know why this bloodshed keeps happening and what it's going to take for something to finally change. This horrifying violence is tearing Baltimore City apart, and enough is enough. Last week, I directed the Maryland State Police and all state law enforcement agencies to immediately provide additional assistance to the Baltimore Police Department and to provide enhanced visibility patrols in an all-hands-on-deck effort. Since then, the state of Maryland initiated more than 550 enhanced visibility patrols by state police agencies into the city of Baltimore over the past 5 days. In addition to the 100% match of all Crime Stoppers rewards that lead to arrests, which we previously announced, we also offered an additional $100,000 reward for the information that leads to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for Evelyn Player's murder. Last month, of course, we announced an additional $150 million of increased support for state and local police agencies to pay for body cameras, de-escalation training, to hire more officers, and provide additional victim services and community policing initiatives all across the state. There's plenty of blame to go around for the lawlessness and violence in Baltimore, but now is not the time for finger pointing or excuses. What the people of Baltimore City desperately need are answers and action. A few weeks ago, we announced that we would invest another $10 million in the upcoming budget for neighborhood safety grants to support lighting, cameras, hardware upgrades, and increased security services for community organizations, business districts, main streets, and neighborhoods in Baltimore City and all across the state. Today, I'm announcing that we are expediting that funding and making it immediately available. Today, we're also expanding the eligibility requirements to include places of worship and vulnerable communities. But as I have repeatedly said, we also need a prosecutor who will actually prosecute violent criminals.
What the heck?
Residents deserve transparency and accountability. And they and all Maryland taxpayers deserve to know that the millions of dollars in funding that the state provides each year are being used to actually prosecute criminals and to keep them off the streets. Effective immediately, I'm directing the Office of Crime Prevention, Youth, and Victim Services to conduct a top-to-bottom evaluation of all funding provided to the the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office. All of that state funding will remain pending and under review until that office provides complete data regarding the number of cases they have chosen not to prosecute and why, the number of cases pled down to lesser charges, and the number of violent offenders who are given plea deals.
Now stop right there for a second. He said we need, until we get a prosecutor who's willing to prosecute violent offenders. Wait. But when she prosecuted the police officers that killed Freddie Gray, y'all stepped in and got them off the hook. When she prosecute everybody that do something wrong, y'all say, oh no, your prosecution rate is too high. But now you come with this. But knowing Maryland the way I do, knowing Miss Mosby and knowing her husband Nick the way I do, I knew she was going to come back with that old clapback. And sure enough, this is the clapback that she had for Governor Humpty Dumpty, Larry Hogan.
Let me know when you guys are ready. All right, let me first begin by saying that I regret even having to respond to the likes of this governor. For the past 7 years, just like Donald Trump, Larry Hogan has used Baltimore City as a punching bag. He's attacked me, he's attacked all 4 mayors, he's attacked all 5 commissioners, police commissioners. And quite candidly, he's been more concerned with pointing the finger at everyone else as opposed to actually leading and delivering for a city that is the heartbeat of this state. Just as he's done in the past, today's press conference was a political stunt with no basis whatsoever to call me or my office out. I want to be clear that as state's attorney for Baltimore City, I've never said that I would not prosecute violent offenders or violent crime in the city of Baltimore. Every day, my talented prosecutors, which are being recruited by others, including the Attorney General and other counties all across the state, are committed to working with the Baltimore Police Department to ensure accountability against individuals that wreak havoc in our communities. Had the governor set aside his philosophical differences and chosen to meet or even to talk to me, I would have been happy to show him the data that he's now making contingent on my office's funding. In fact, a great deal of the information that the governor is seeking is already published on my website. We went through this same unproductive exchange and exercise 2 years ago when my office debunked the misinformation that the governor was perpetuating in our letter to the Senate President Ferguson. And now, coming out of a global pandemic where the courts have literally been non-operational for a year and a half, in the past 6 months, my prosecutors are diligently working through the massive case backlogs, and yet they are still producing. To date, our data, which we publish every month on our website, since the reopening of the courts just this year, my office has had an overall 97% conviction rate. Our homicide unit, we have had 18 guilties, only 3 not guilties. That's an 86% conviction rate. Our felony division, 187 guilties, 8 not guilties. That's a 96% felony conviction rate. Our gun violence enforcement division, 136 guilties, 7 not guilties, 95% conviction rate. Our narcotics unit, 375 guilties, 3 not guilties, 99% conviction rate. My attorneys, since the beginning of this year, have indicted over 123 homicides, 591 felonies. Our gun violence enforcement division, when we talk about getting guns off the streets of Baltimore, they have had 335 indictments. Our narcotics unit has had 866 indictments. I tell you this today because I stand by the work of my office. I'll provide the governor anything he desires because I know how much my prosecutors do for this city. Just this week, James Phillips was found guilty of 2 counts of assault in the first degree, 2 counts of use of a firearm and the commission of a crime of violence and associated charges. He was sentenced to 35 years in prison following his August 19th conviction. Phillips shot and struck 2 brothers on Bel Air Road outside of the deli after an altercation occurred inside the store. Just yesterday, Ward Alston, 46 years old, pled guilty to second-degree rape of a 14-year-old girl and was sentenced to 20 years, suspended all but 12 years and 5 years probation. Alston followed the teen from a train station near Mondawmin to her bus, got off at her bus stop to pull her into an alley and to rape her. My prosecutors work every single day. And for the governor to come out today and say that my prosecutors, they don't do their jobs, that they don't prosecute violent criminals, that they don't sweat blood and tears for the safety of everyone in this city is a disgraceful lie. My prosecutors take violent crime seriously, and so do I. I met with the devastated daughter whose mother was killed in a church last week. When I leave here today, I'm going to meet with the 13-year-old girl that was killed last week. That little girl was my baby. She was a part of my Great Expectations program that focuses on children in city schools. And for the governor to put on a show today and to exploit the very real pain of our city residents as part of his political stunt is disgraceful and unacceptable. Anyone who thinks that the governor truly cares about the crime in the city of Baltimore should also ask the question of how he's been unwilling to develop a long-term solutions to address the root causes of crime in our city? Why did he cancel the red line, which would have provided job opportunities to residents of our city? Why did he veto the Kerwin Commission that would have provided equity and education for our babies? Why is his only solution to crime more police and mandatory minimum sentence? And now he's advocating to refund the police in a city where a 163-page Department of Justice report outlined a pattern and practice of discriminatory enforcement, where there's a history of mistrust following one of the largest police corruption scandals in the history of this country, where officers were literally planting guns and drugs on the residents of our city for decades. And by the way, Mr. Governor, we are under a federal consent decree. The hypocrisy of campaigning to refund the police while defunding prosecutors is not lost on the citizens of Baltimore City. He's attacking me yet again, disrespecting me yet again. As the twice elected representative of the people of Baltimore, the way he always has, because he's entitled. His entitlement and his privilege allows him to do so as he plays to the right-wing conservatives he's interested in appealing to for election purposes. Today was not about fixing Baltimore. It was about Larry Hogan's political aspirations. He's running on a platform of a modern-day Republican, so he has to be opposed to criminal justice reform. He's perfectly okay with locking up black people for things that white people do in this country with impunity. He's especially okay with villainizing the black woman prosecutor who's challenging the status quo. We're seeing these antics all across the country. Don't be fooled. In Missouri, the governor and friend of Hogan blocked a black progressive prosecutor from exonerating an innocent black man. In Florida, the governor took cases away from a black prosecutor who refused to prosecute the death penalty. This is the company that Larry Hogan keeps. This is his playbook. I come to you today, Baltimore, to say, let's stop getting played by this lame duck, Governor. Thank you. Questions?
Madam Prosecutor, passionate response to the governor. You are obviously.
Well, damn. This lame duck governor. Now, y'all heard Larry Hogan say he's putting funds on hold, right? Then you heard her clap back and call him a lame duck. You heard her say the DOJ is out here and prosecuting and have said that Baltimore is the worst. You heard that. I find it funny that 2 months after that, mind you, she been threatened, family been threatened, and her husband is in the political office. But I find it funny 2 months after that, this goes down. Take a look at this.
This federal indictment alleges that Mosby falsely claimed financial hardship due to the pandemic. The indictment claims between May 26 and December 29th of 2020, Mosby submitted a request to get $40,000 and $50,000 from her city retirement account. According to court documents, Mosby falsely certified she met the requirements under the CARES Act because she experienced adverse financial effects due to the pandemic, but the indictment alleges Mosby did not experience such hardships. In fact, it says she got her full salary from January 1st through December 29th. The indictment also claims Mrs. Mosby made false statements in mortgage applications to purchase 2 homes in Florida. She did not. According to documents disclosed, she had unpaid federal taxes on either application. If convicted, Mosby faces a maximum of 5 years in federal prison for each of the 2 perjury counts. She could face up to 30 years in federal prison for the 2 counts of false mortgage applications. She will appear in U.S. District Court in Baltimore. That hearing has not yet been scheduled. Marilyn Mosby was first elected in January of 2015 and sworn in as the youngest chief prosecutor of a major American city. Mosby, who is originally from Boston, first gained major national attention just months into office when Freddie Gray died in police custody, and she called for the indictment of the police officers involved. None ultimately was convicted. During the pandemic, she called for an elimination of prosecuting certain low-level offenses, and that action soon made her a lightning rod and led to open sparring with Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. Marilyn Mosby is a mother of two. She is married to City Council President Nick Mosby, who is not mentioned in the federal indictment. We have reached out to Marilyn Mosby's office and have not heard back yet, and we will have much more on this breaking news later in the newscast.
So once again, like I know Marilyn Mosby would, she had a clap back for that. And it went a little something like this.
The room from up. So what? For Mike? Okay. Where am I putting this? Yeah. I have to move some of this over. Yeah. Can we move this because it's a little bit, right? Like, okay. Okay. We'll make sure we move out. Everyone is. Oh, okay. My bad. I'm sorry. Okay, okay. Is that? This? Right here? I don't know where this one goes. There you go. There we go. We got it now? We'll be making a brief statement and not taking questions today because my attorney, A. Scott Bolden, will make himself available at a later time. I thought it was important to be seen and heard today for a number of reasons. First of all, I wanted the citizens of Baltimore to know that as your state's attorney, I am wholly committed to the job and working with my esteemed colleagues in the state's attorney's office to carry out the mission of creating a safer, healthier community for everyone in this city. Nothing is more important than that. I also need citizens who I am blessed to serve to know that I am innocent of the charges that have been levied against me, and I intend to fight with every ounce of energy within my being to prove my innocence and to clear my name. As a Black woman, a lawyer, a wife, and a mother looking to serve my community, I sought elected office because I knew there was so much more we could do and should be doing to bridge the divide between the criminal justice system and the communities that we are entrusted to serve. No one thought I could win. We had very little money and even less name recognition, but we knew that things had to change in the city of Baltimore and around this country, and so we fought. And what started out as a real impossibility and a dream eventually became a victory. I never looked at my ascension to the state's attorney as a victory for Marilyn Mosby, but honestly, I saw this blessing as the acknowledgement and my marching orders from the people of this city that things had to change and we had to do more to make our communities safe and to make progressive change in the criminal justice system. I believe now, as I believed then, that those two objectives are not mutually exclusive and could be and must be achieved simultaneously. I expected the job to be hard. I expected long hours and sleepless nights. I expected criticism and critique from both the media and the citizens. I expected to miss games and recitals and to sacrifice much of the time and energy it takes to raise two little girls so that I could do my part as a public servant to achieve the goals and objectives of the state's attorney's office. What I did not expect was to be personally mocked and ridiculed, sued, or to have to incessantly fight to keep my law license. I did not expect to receive hate mail and death threats and to have the safety of my daughters compromised by the media. I did not expect to need 24-hour armed security. I did not expect to incur personally more than $500,000 in legal bills, defending myself from frivolous investigations and attacks on nearly every front. I did not expect for an investigation into my professional travel, which I asked for, to somehow snowball into state ethics and state election board inquiries, federal investigations, and ultimately a federal indictment. I'm so disappointed, but unfortunately not shocked, that my family and I find ourselves in this position. You see, ever since I walked down the steps of the War Memorial on May 1st, 2015, announced charges against 6 police officers in the killing of Freddie Gray, I have had a target on my back, and I get it. As a state's attorney for Baltimore City, I've used my power and my discretion to do things that a lot of people in this country just don't like. I've sought to ensure one standard of justice regardless of race, gender, zip code, or occupation. I've prosecuted several police officers for violating the rights of citizens. I've sought to end the war on drug users and people of color by decriminalizing drug possession and sex work. I've fought for second chances for people serving life sentences. I've exonerated 12 innocent black men that the justice system wanted to rot in prison for more than 300 years for crimes they didn't commit. I get it. This is not what prosecutors usually do. And many people will forever hate me for it. Because of my commitment to racial justice, I've had to contend with powerful institutions that have come after me by any means necessary. Donald Trump called for me to be prosecuted several years ago, and I fought back against his administration. I fought back against the governor who plays politics and doesn't like my policies. I fought back against the consistent harassment of the Fraternal Order of Police. I fought back against the right-wing media that trades on misinformation and scaremongering. I fought back against the same U.S. Attorney's Office that is charging me now when they warned me not to charge the police in the Freddie Gray case. I fought back against the exact same federal prosecutors prosecuting me now who maliciously and erroneously implicated my office in the Gun Trace Task Force scandal. What I've come to learn in fighting for what's right is that there are many in this country wholly committed to defending the status quo, who also realize that those of us who are equally committed to dismantling the status quo represent a threat to business as usual in this city and in this country. I get it. But the people who sent me here did so because they know we need to fight against mass incarceration and dismantle the status quo of the criminal justice system that has devastated far too many families and communities in this city and in this country. Quite simply, I fight for those who don't have enough people fighting for them in place. I firmly believe that differences in ideology, policy positions, and governing philosophies are fair game and should be passionately debated and heavily scrutinized. That's democracy at work. But our differences in policies and governing should not make any of us subject to unreasonable and unyielding, abusive attacks, investigation, and prosecution. I'm here before you today to state unequivocally that I am innocent, and I intend to do what I've always done since I became state's attorney for the city and in the city that I love. Fight. I will fight these charges with everything I have in me, and I will be victorious because as a...
Now, I'm gonna say this before I move on. I see the comments, and I will say this on my president, Donald Trump. Yes, he did come out against her because he got wrong information about Larry Hogan. That's what made him turn around and go after Larry Hogan when he found out the truth, and he gave her a public apology. Now, one thing I can say about Marilyn Mosby, she has fought for everybody in the city of Baltimore. So Mida Spade, I gotta disagree with you when you say lock her up. No, lock up Larry Hogan. Lock up the Fraternal Order Police. That's why I say lock up. One thing I can say, if she was wrong, I will rip her apart publicly and privately because I have access to her. But there's no way I can sit by and say she is doing a terrible job when she fought when nobody else will. So I'll say it once and I'll say it again. Lock up Larry Hogan. Lock up the Fraternal Order Police. All of them. Disband the Fraternal Order of Police. And then rebuild Baltimore from the inside out. That's how I carry it. And then I'll go here. She have never had a suspicious finance problem. Never. That's why she said she's going to fight and she's going to be victorious. She's never had that. One thing about it, us Baltimoreans, we don't play those games. So I say it once, I say it again. The Fraternal Order of Police need to be disbanded. Larry Hogan needs to be locked all the way the hell up. She never received gifts. You got the wrong person, Midas. She never received gifts. Right. Right. She never received gifts. Hold on. Oh. Are you going me? What? So that right there, I have to totally disagree with that. As far as Trump coming back in office, you got to come over when we got ups. When I start going live again over there, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. But my next subject, I don't want to get off topic. My next subject is a very touchy one. Court overturns qualified immunity in police killing of Marine Corps veteran who accidentally activated life aid device. So we're gonna go here. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit Court on May 29th refused to dismiss a slew of claims against a group of White Plains police officers for their role in the death of Kenneth Chamberl Sr., a mentally ill African-American man who was shot and killed in his own home after accidentally setting off his emergency medical alert system. The appellate panel overturned a district court's decision to shield the officers from liability under the controversial qualified immunity doctrine, reinstating claims of unlawful entry and excessive force and the death of the 67-year-old Marine Corps veteran who stated lucidly, repeatedly, and empathetically to the officers at his door that he was not in need of assistance. The deadly incident at the center of the case began in November 2011, when Chamberlain accidentally activated his life aid device, triggering an ambulance and a squad car being sent to his apartment. Despite being warned that he was emotionally disturbed, police began loudly banging on Chamberlain's door, causing him to intentionally activate his life aid system, thereby preserving his conversation with the company's phone operator in an almost verbatim transcript. Chamberlain told the life aid operator he wanted to report an emergency, that the White Plains Police Department is banging on my door and I did not call them and I am not sick. The operator called the police to cancel the dispatch, but the dispatcher told her they're going to make entry anyway. They're going to open it anyway. One of the officers on the scene could clearly be heard telling Chamberlain that his medical alert went off accidentally. Despite this insistence by Chamberlain and information from the life aid operator that Chamberlain was not in need of medical attention and that the life aid device had been triggered accidentally, the officers continued relentlessly in their attempts to forcibly gain entry to the apartment. The court wrote, because Chamberlain continued to refuse to open his door, the officers radioed for tactical reinforcements. There were approximately 12 officers in the augmented police force when they attempted to gain entry. They were armed with heavy tactical gear, including handguns, a beanbag shotgun, taser, riot shield, and pepper spray. Using a Halligan tool to wrench the door open a few inches, the court wrote that the partial opening of the door was sufficient for the police to confirm visibility, that Chamberlain was not in need of medical attention, and that Chamberlain, who had long lived alone, was not at that time the forced armed entry began, a danger to himself or the officers. Once the door was open, Chamberlain began exhibiting delusions, hallucinations, and flashbacks to his time in military service, and all the while expressing fear for his life to the life aid operator, declaring he had a knife and asserting that he only intended to protect himself. Chamberlain began thrusting a knife at the opening in the door and begging the police to leave. When the door was fully open from the hallway, the officers in swift succession tased Chamberlain unsuccessfully, fired several beanbag shots at him, largely ineffectively, and fired 2 shots at him with a handgun. One of those bullets passed through Chamberlain's lungs and ribs and severed his spine, killing him. The court said after the shots were fired, the officers entered, grabbed Chamberlain's feet, and dragged him out of the apartment. After Chamberlain's son filed a lawsuit naming all 7 officers involved in the incident as defendants, a federal district court judge found that several of the officers were entitled to qualified immunity. Officers Anthony Sorelli, Maurice Love, Stephen Demchuk, Merrick Makowski, Sergeant Stephen Fortel, and Keith Martin, and Lieutenant James Spencer were named as defendants. The circuit court determined that Kenneth Chamberlain Jr., the administrators Chamberlain Sr.'s estate, pleaded a plausible claim for unlawful entry by defendants Sorelli, Hart, Demchuk, Fortrell, and Martin. The grant of summary judgment in favor of defendant Martin with respect to the excessive force claim and in favor of defendants Fortel and Martin with respect to the supervisory liability claims should be reconsidered, and is therefore vacated, and those claims are remanded to the district court, the court ruled. Qualified immunity is a legal doctrine initially created by the Supreme Court, which has steadily developed to prevent citizens from holding government actors accountable for constitutional violations enshrined in the Civil Rights Acts 1983. The modern doctrine holds that qualified immunity shields federal and state officials from money damages unless a plaintiff pleads facts showing, 1, that the official violated a statutory or constitutional right, and 2, that the right was clearly established at the time of the challenged conduct. However, in order for such a right to be clearly established, the particular conduct of the alleged violator must have previously been established to such an extent as to place the statutory or constitutional question beyond debate, a subjective and oftentimes absurdly high bar for plaintiffs to clear. According to the Second Circuit, the defendants did not clear this high bar, as the court reasoned that the officers' warrantless entry into a private dwelling, absent exigent circumstances, was legally established as being unlawful. The officers were responding to a 911 call at a location that was the source of prior emotionally disturbed person calls. They could hear Chamberlain yelling things that indicated that he was in psychological distress, but they had no information suggesting he was in physical danger. The court said, here, appellant has plausible alleged that the officer's warrantless entry into Chamberlain's home was not justified by exigent circumstances and was therefore a violation of his clearly established rights under the Fourth Amendment. Since the officer's qualified immunity defense is not clearly established by allegations and the amended complaint as argumented by the relevant recordings, the district court erred in applying it in the context of the Rule 12b-6 motion to dismiss, the court said. So I have this whole document right here. I have the document. I'm gonna show you. So if anybody want to read up on it, just send me an email. I'll definitely get it to you. But I have the document. And the document, hold on, let me get it for you, hold on. Where's that? Right here. And the document is right here. I have the whole document, all 50 pages. So if you want it, you can email me and I'll make sure you get it. But this is what we about to do. This is what we about to do. We about to watch the movie. Shout out to Morgan Freeman. You did your thing, brother. But we about to watch this, Jim. So cut your power off, sit back, relax, and we're gonna watch it. It's called The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain. They wanted to take it out of all movie theaters, but now, as I read up on it, they have only let it be selective to certain movie theaters. I do have the legal right to play this. And my disclaimer was at the beginning. If I am struck by YouTube, I have the legal ramifications and the document and the license to show that I have the right to play this. All right, let's watch it. Here we go. Sit back, relax for 1 hour, 21 minutes and 4 seconds. Y'all gonna be amazed. Hello, everybody. Can y'all hear good?
activation from your pendant. Do you have an emergency? If you need us to send an ambulance, I'll dispatch one now. Mr. Chamberlain? Hello? Okay, because I'm not getting a response from you, I'm going to dispatch emergency services now. Employee number 1674, Candace Wade.
Hold on, y'all. Because I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Hold that thought. Hold on. I don't know what's going on. It's not showing a picture. Hold on, y'all.
What's the apartment number?
Oh, Lord. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
87 the dispatch.
Okay.
Get the apartment number and that well check.
Copy 87, 135 South Lexington, apartment 2B. Subject is emotionally disturbed and medically fragile.
Emotionally disturbed? Can we get more info on that?
Negative. Medical alert company is reported
Just on a black screen. Figure this out for y'all.
Mr. Chamberlain, this is Candace Wade with Lifeguard Medical Alerts. This line is being recorded. You just received an activation from your pendant. Do you have an emergency? If you need us to send an ambulance, I'll dispatch one now. Mr. Chamberlain? Hello? Okay, because I'm not getting a response from you, I'm going to dispatch emergency services now. Employee number 1674, Candace Wade.
This is weird. Show the picture. It just won't show the movie. Hold on, there's something I gotta do. Hold on. Hey. Hey, love you more, child.
First of all, you need to click the Go tab on the Finder menu and then click on Applications. Now to locate the file you want to play on the Finder menu, click on the File tab, and then click on New Finder window.
Hold on.
Locate the folder where you have stored the video files. The first way to open a video file is by just double-clicking on the movie or video file. The file will automatically open on QuickTime. On the Finder menu, click on the File tab, and then click on New Finder window. Use QuickTime Player to play media files stored on your Mac? There are 3 ways to do so. Let's go ahead and watch the 3 methods one by one. First of all, you need to click the Go tab on the Finder menu and then click on Applications. Now to locate the file you want to play, on the Finder menu, click on the File tab and then click on New Finder window. Locate the folder where you have stored the video.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. So that's what it is. They won't let me share it. Oh, snap. Okay, hold on, y'all. This is weird. Because you can see it right here. Hold on, let me see if I can do it this way. So it won't let you see it that way at all. Trying to figure this out, y'all. Hold on. Because for some reason it's not letting me play it. Let me see, network, desktop, connecting. Connect this, connect this. TV. Hold on.
The first way to open a video file is by just double-clicking on the movie or video file. The file will automatically open on QuickTime Player. Click the play button to watch the video file. To put on hold the playback, click on the pause button. To learn about the second way to play video files using QuickTime Player, close the player window. In the second way, you just need to drag the movie or video file to QuickTime Player. The file will automatically open with QuickTime Player. Click on the play button to view the video file. Close the player window. Now to know about the third way, on the QuickTime Player menu, click on the File menu and then click on Open File. Locate the folder where you have stored a movie or video file. Select the video file that you want to play and then click on Open. Click on the play button to watch the video file, or click on the pause button to put the playback on hold. Hope this was easy to follow. Thanks for watching.
So they won't let you do it on here. I'm starting to see this. Hold on. Import file from close tab, over Windows, open location, open file. Window. Let's see. This is not gonna work. Close that window. Oh man, I wanted y'all to see this. I really wanted y'all to see this. But it'll play for me, it just won't.
Lifeguard Medical Alerts. This line is being recorded. You just received an activation from your pendant. Do you have an emergency? If you need us to send an ambulance, I'll dispatch one now. Mr. Chamberlain? Hello? Okay, because I'm not getting a response from you, I'm going to dispatch emergency services now. Employee number 1674 can't wait.
This is killing me. So I want y'all to see this, Joe.
Jeez. What's the apartment number?
87 of the dispatch. Can we get the apartment number and that well check?
Copy 87, 135 South Lexington, apartment 2B. Subject is emotionally disturbed and medically...
Emotionally disturbed. Can we get more info on that?
This is bullcrap.
Negative. Medical alert company is reported in
Copy that.
Well, pissing me off. Hold on, I'm gonna try one last thing. Hold on.
Legacy of that shield is. Hey everyone, I'm Max Dalton, and in this video I'll show you how to download HBO Max movies and shows to your iPhone, iPad, or Android device. HBO Max has something on it for everyone in the family. If you're going to be traveling and don't want to get hit with data overage charges, HBO Max makes it possible to download movies and shows from the service over Wi-Fi directly to your iPhone, iPad, or
Hold on.
Android device. Now let's walk through the steps to download HBO Max movies and shows on your iPhone, iPad, or Android device. Step 1. Launch the HBO Max app on your iPhone, iPad, or Android device,
Okay.
and then navigate to the movie or TV show episode you want to download to your device.
Okay.
Step 2. Tap Download in the information screen for that content. A % complete will be displayed showing you the progress of that download. After the download is complete, the % complete will be replaced with the you want to
What?
download to your device. Step 2, tap download in the information screen for that content.
Hold on, y'all. This is crazy. Okay. Let me get out of this. Go to the Play Store. Question: do anybody know the Play Store and for Apple? That's a shame. I got one and don't know the Play Store. I don't know the Play Store. Oh, the App Store. Hold on. I got it. It don't have an HBO Max store. Wow. This is crazy. Okay. Okay, hold on. Friendly streaming browser. Okay, hold on. Install. All right, here you go. See, let's open this. Okay. Okay. Okay, hold on, y'all. I got it. I finally got it. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works.
activation from your pendant. Do you have an emergency? If you need us to send an ambulance, I'll dispatch one now. Mr. Chamberlain? Hello? Okay. Because I'm not getting a response from you, I'm going to dispatch emergency services now. Employee number 16.
No, that's not working. All right, look, I'm gonna have to come back and play the movie for y'all. I don't know like what's going on.
Jeez. What's the apartment number?
87 to dispatch. Can we get the apartment number and that well check?
Copy 87, 135 South Lexington, apartment 2B. Subject is emotionally disturbed and medically fragile.
Emotionally disturbed. Can we get more info on that?
Negative. Medical alert company is reported to DED.
Copy that.
It won't let me. This is weird, man. I don't like this. It won't let me play it for y'all. Hold on, I see something. Let's see something. There it go.
Jeez. What's the apartment number?
87 to dispatch. Can we get the apartment number and that well check?
Copy 87, 135 South Lexington, apartment 2B. Subject is emotionally disturbed and medically fragile.
Emotionally disturbed. Can we get more info on that?
Negative. Medical alert company is reported to DED.
Copy that.
I don't know what I just did.
Like a damn third world country over here.
To be. Here we go. Who wants to talk?
Should play right up.
Like a damn third world country over here.
Just won't play.
To be. Here we go. Who wants to talk?
All right, I gotta figure out how to get the movie.
Okay, good.
To play. So I'm not gonna hold y'all up, man. I'm not gonna hold y'all up. I gotta figure out how to get this movie to play for y'all. This is weird. You spend all your money on these devices and certain things won't work. So let me go ahead and figure out how I'm gonna get this to play. And when I get it, I'll be back to share with y'all. All right. So let's get to pay some bills. I thank y'all for joining me today. But you know, when you go to your local Walmart and you want something nice and yummy to munch on, go to JD's Vegan and you got your choice. When you go to Walmart, look in the ice cream aisle. Look in where they sell the pints and stuff. And what you do is you look at JD's Vegan. They have Strawberry Sweetheart. They have Chocolate My Way. They have Welcome to Atlanta Peach Cobbler. They have apple butter. They have 404 cookies and cream. They have key lime pie. They also have, yeah. So I just said all the ones they had. My bad. But yeah, yeah, they got key lime pie, 404 cookies and cream, apple butter, strawberry sweetheart, chocolate my way, and welcome to Atlanta peach cobbler. All right, trust me, you're gonna love it. And if you don't, just let me know and say, Dana, I don't like this. It's nasty. All right. So I guarantee you won't say that. Everybody that I get to try, they be like, oh my God, this is real good. I can't believe it. So the only thing you can do is you go try it for yourself and then watch what your results come back and be. And let me know what it is. But also let's support our own. JD's vegan. And it's not ice cream. It's not sherbet. It's dairy-free, frozen dessert. It's dairy-free, frozen dessert. Okay? Let me know once you go get one. Also, welcome to WeGotUps.com, www.WeGotUps.com, a platform that's for us, designed by us, created by us. Tell them, Q.
Yeah, what's up? This your homeboy Ice Cube. You know what it is, the West Coast warlord, the Grand Wizard. Don Mega is in the house. Now check this out. I'm inviting you to join the official Black People Social Network, WeGotUps.com. That's WeGotUps.com. 100% Black owned, man. I see you here, boys. I see you. You out there doing it, man. And as we say in the Big Three League, we got ups, baby. So WeGotUps.com. Check it out, man. You know what I mean? Obviously, you know, Black people, we definitely need to socialize, get together, figure out this system we are going through. So, you know, WeGotUps.com promises to be that place. Like I said, Black owned, gotta love it. And, you know, willing to make sure that you guys make a social connection. So WeGotUps.com, you know, from your homeboy Ice Cube, got to throw up the dub, you know, for that. You know what I'm saying? And hey, man, official Black People Social Network. You know, I get it right. Don't worry about nothing. Just join, man. Join the official Black People Social Network. WeGotUps.com. WeGotUps.com, man. That's easy, man. We got ups, baby. We got ups. Your homeboy Ice Cube, and I'm out. Throwing up the dub for We Got Ups, man. Check it out.
And when you come over, turn that blue gray when you look up official DanaJay. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend. See y'all tomorrow.
Women in you. Hey, little mama said I wanna tell